So 3 cars then we're expecting to start from the pit lane. It's just 17 then on the racetrack itself, although that very much looks like Ralph and Truly have taken to the grid, it seems to me. So they are going to start at the back of the field.
Michael Schumacher pulling into his unaccustomed 14th place. The 2 Saubers, Wilson's Jaguar, Button's BAR, and there the McLaren of Raikkonen. Everybody's there, we're all ready.
Get on with it, okay. I've taken it easy, I've maintained roughly my position, but I do not need Jarno Trulli in front of me this afternoon. And Trulli is now tucked up behind Wilson in the Jaguar and just...
Races in a row, isn't it, Frank? The American Grand Prix didn't go right either. And here at Suzuka, tremendous reliability this season for the BMW Williams team, but here it's all going wrong for them. It's a problem for Montoya.
Yeah, and I tell you what, this is scary. Coasting into 130R, you'll be blind through it. And what's he going to do? He's just hooked up a gear somewhere and started accelerating. It's almost like the pit limit has come on, James. It's as if...
I'm afraid they were out in the pit for Williams, for Montoya, but I'm afraid they've now gone in and cleared a space in the garage. So that's it. He's headed for the race end, I'm afraid. It did sound like his throttle had stuck open, and they think maybe there's a leak in there somewhere, but I'm afraid he's out of the race. Bad luck, Williams.
Stroke of luck number 1 for Raikkonen. Michael Schumacher loses his front wing. Stroke of luck number 2, Montoya has a technical problem. Stroke of luck number 3 coming up. Toyota are ready for a pit stop. If it's Cristiano De Mata who is holding up Kimi Raikkonen at the moment, that couldn't be better news for the young Finn.
Well, don't discount Michael.
Quite a very good pace. Just on what lap they pitted. They pitted actually before we were meant to pit, so we showed we had a really good potential today. It's a bit of a shame.
Is that the Constructors' Championship form for Williams?
Definitely. Yeah, it's nothing to do.
Well, Ralf Schumacher's 7th at the moment. I mean, it does look difficult, you have to say, for Williams, but the way this race is shaping up, who knows this afternoon.
Yeah, Williams need to score 4 points more than Ferrari in order to win the World Championship. Barrichello at the moment is looking like, well, he's in 4th place, but as you say, a long way to go. Ralf Schumacher is 7th, and Michael Schumacher down in 16th. So Williams needs some bad luck to befall Ferrari if they're going to overhaul that deficit.
Button is leading this race now, then, believe it or not, for the 2nd consecutive Grand Prix. Jenson Button leads. Sato is 2nd. Of course, they have not stopped yet. So we think Ralf Schumacher's pitting for his first stop of the afternoon. He's already had a couple of dramas out on the track, put himself well out of position. And Coulthard does a new fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So Button, Sato, Barrichello 3rd, Alonso 4th, Heidfeld 5th, Ralf Schumacher who's pitted, then Coulthard, Raikkonen, De Mata and Panis in the 2 Toyotas.
16 of the 53-lap Japanese Grand Prix for the 2nd Grand Prix in succession. Jenson Button has led, he's looked composed and poised, but now is the time to make his pit stop. Teammate Takuma Sato made a stop a lap ago, and he's rejoined, well, we'll find out where he's rejoined when the computer tells us, but at the moment, Jenson Button diving into his box.
Good run then from Jenson. Difficult to know exactly. I think he's at roughly about 20 seconds away from the lead, as it were, when it all shakes out, because he was 4 or 5 seconds ahead of Barrichello, and the pit stop will cost him 20-odd. So there then goes Raikkonen. Can he get down there in front of that train of Toyota Jaguars and Ralf Schumacher? A Renault in there too. So not work out in the future, and the team have done well too. It was one of the great pleasant surprises of this season, and he's not a happy bunny, is he? And understandably so. But you know, Renault got it up there with Williams and McLaren, who closed the gap to Ferrari, and that's why, to a large extent, we've had such a thrilling season. So Barrichello now leads from Coulthard then by 14.8 seconds. We believe those two to be on a 3-stopper, certainly at this stage of the Grand Prix, and Raikkonen 20 seconds behind Barrichello. Barrichello could be Ferrari and Michael Schumacher.
37 seconds behind the race leader and his teammate Rubens Barrichello, and perhaps more crucially, Jarno Trulli's 29 seconds behind the race leader. So Michael has got his gap down to the 8th place to just 8 seconds. He's making good progress through the field. He's taking it calm and taking it easy, having lost the front wing earlier on in the Grand Prix. But one of the critical things now is going to be the margin between Barrichello and the Coulthard-Raikkonen battle, particularly Raikkonen, who's carrying more fuel. You need about 25, 26 seconds to make a pit stop and rejoin in front of the guy behind you. At the moment, Barrichello has 22.5 seconds and about another 5 or 6 laps before he's due in for his second stop. So it's looking good at the moment for Rubens Barrichello to rejoin after that stop in front of Kimi Raikkonen.
Yeah, and subject to tripping over somebody, Michael should still be able to quite comfortably go and win it for himself. And remember, every time we see somebody drop out of the race, they're almost, they're most probably going to be ahead of Michael for sure. And every time, like Alonso dropping out, just moves him one slot closer.
2 seasons, Michael Schumacher, his only retirement was Brazil this year, where he had a crash. It could happen, but you have to say that Ferrari is pretty bulletproof. And at the moment, Ferrari are looking very strong here at Suzuka. Ted, what can you tell? Currently 11th, and they've got a few cars between them and the vital point that Michael needs in order to become the world champion this year.
I'm trying to watch Raikkonen's car, that little bit seeing of it, and understand. I mean, look, there's Barrichello doing 130R. Raikkonen was still just about leaving spoons. He's got the whole of that long straight that he's ahead of him. I'd have to guess Raikkonen's got a bit of overstep. You just momentarily watch his car. Does to Barrichello last time around. Barrichello's just crossed the line again. Let's see what it is now. And it's going to go up nearer 9 seconds, I think. That's the amount that Raikkonen's losing out. 9.2 it is, as Raikkonen just crosses the line.
So what's separating Michael Schumacher from the 1 point he needs in 8th place to win the World Championship? We're just over half distance in this 53-lap Japanese Grand Prix. Schumacher is 9 seconds behind Cristiano De Mata, who's currently the 8th place man in the Toyota. He's got Mark Webber and Olivier Panis and Ralf Schumacher between him and De Mata. That's the task for Michael Schumacher. And for those of you just joining us, he played it pretty cautious off the start. He was 14th on the grid, Michael Schumacher, but then a move onto Kumasato, which Martin certainly thought was half-hearted, resulted in Michael losing his front wing. And he had to make a pit stop, drop down to 9th place. Now, though, he is right on the back. He took 8/10 out of his brother, and as if on cue, there it is.
And who is Ralf behind? Ralph's behind Panis, so that's for 10th, 11th and 12th then. You can see in shot every time you catch the glimpse of the Toyota, there the 3 of them are. And again, in the race, Toyota have tended to fade away. De Mata's now back down. They started 3rd and 4th. De Mata down to 8th, Panis 10th. Unfortunately, Wilson's dropped down to 13th. 14th is Fisichella and Furman, but this is the fight for 10th. What's happening up front? Barrichello's just crossed the line again with a solid 1:34. The pace is not that quick today. Still a little bit of dampness.
Remember, Honda were thinking about having their own team, their own chassis and engine, and there was a lot of politics in Japan about that. In the end, they decided just to go the engine supply route, Honda, and they teamed up with the BAR team as well as Jordan. But now they're just with BAR. Toyota came into Formula One doing the whole car. And there are some stories that Toyota have got their own racetrack at Fuji. This track here at Suzuka owned by Honda, and Toyota planning to outbid Honda for the Japanese Grand Prix in the future. Well, watch out for that as Kimi Raikkonen from 2nd place pits.
He's not really under pressure. He's 16 seconds adrift of Barrichello, 10 seconds ahead of Button, who also is pitting on this lap. And this is crucial times. David Coulthard has a chance to leapfrog Button and Trulli. Coulthard, we know, has got to stop one more time too. And away goes Raikkonen as a safe and solid stop, and will not affect his race position. He will remain 2nd. There then, Button.
Time world champion. Don't go away. Lap 36 of the 53. Michael Schumacher, though, is up into 6th place at the moment after Jenson Button made his pit stop a couple of laps back. And that means if Michael can stay where he is, although he has to make another pit stop as we ride on board with him now, Michael will be the world champion of 2003. In the Constructors' title battle, it's all Ferrari. Rubens leading the race, Michael up in 6th place. That's more than enough to clinch it for Ferrari.
Well, just to confirm, Michael's playing the percentage game. He's just done a 1 minute 33.7, a good 2 seconds a lap faster than the guys, isn't it? Yes, if you had to say what was the most interesting one of the year, I mean, there's half a dozen stunning races to choose from this year in terms of surprises and thrilling action. I think the new regulation certainly played a part in that, and as I said earlier on, Williams, McLaren and Renault closing the gap to Ferrari has also helped. But let's hope they don't fix the regulations in the week as they're proposing at the moment, because I don't think they're quite right for how they to make the show even better next year. I really think that's a backward step, but we'll wait and find out.
Well, what they're proposing is to get rid of the Friday morning testing, which has certainly helped the Renault team, amongst others, so far this year, and to also abandon Friday afternoon qualifying, instead of Jaguar and 8th Toyota. So very intense battle there for 5th in the championship, and that's the way that one is looking. A lot of expectation and nervousness down there in the BAR Honda garage.
Yes, and Barrichello backing off now with the gap down to 15 seconds. If I were McLaren, I think I'd release Coulthard behind Raikkonen. Coulthard clearly much faster, and not allow Barrichello the luxury of backing off.
Barrichello kept him in the lead, and despite the amazing pace of Juan Montoya in the early stages, he fell by the wayside with a hydraulics problem. Fernando Alonso had some kind of engine-related failure a few laps later. We've also lost Fisichella in his final outing for the Jordan team, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen in his final outing for Sauber. Only 4 retirements though, 16 cars still running here in the closing stages.
Yes, that's been one of the great surprises and pleasures to me this year. Big change in regulation served the drivers going into the first corner cold, having had no warm-up in the morning. Barrichello leads though by 15.7 seconds from Raikkonen. Coulthard with a watching brief in third, a few fractions behind Raikkonen.
He's still there and on target.
Well, he usually comes out smelling a roses somehow, doesn't he, Michael? It's more by judgment than luck sometimes, but this man has probably had one of his least impressive Grand Prix this year, I'd say, Raikkonen. For some reason, just hasn't had speed this afternoon when he needed it. He's still up there in second place, but more because others have dropped out. Montoya had some great speed, didn't he, in the early stage of this Grand Prix. Montoya will be watching with that amazing roll he got onto. Now he's actually ending up third. So that's got to be seen as a major failure, if you like. Michael cleaning his visor then down the pits with his glove. I don't think that signifies any problem other than he's fed up following cars, probably kicking out a bit of oil, and he's used all of his rip-offs up that they put on, the 2 or 3 extra layers, plastic layers they put on, but he's been behind so many cars. Furman 14. I don't know what's happened to Justin Wilson. He's lost a lot of lap time, so presumably a few gremlins creeping in. But, the point scorers at the moment are Barrichello, Raikkonen, Coulthard, Button, Trulli, Sato, D'Amata and Michael Schumacher, and it remains very good then for BAR to leapfrog back up into P5 in the World Championship.
What must be going through Michael Schumacher's mind? He's still got a few laps to go. He's not taking anything for granted here at Suzuka after the eventful afternoon that he's had. That's the top 8. That's the story Ferrari would have settled for coming here this weekend. They wanted Rubens Barrichello to win this race as a payback for all that he's done for the team throughout the season, and it certainly looks as though he's on target for it. The ultimate act of support for a teammate from Rubens Barrichello, chasing his of this Grand Prix. What an eventful Grand Prix it's been, and there is Takuma Sato, who will be driving with BAR next year in place of Jacques Villeneuve. I wonder whether we'll see Villeneuve again in a Formula 1 car.
Who knows? But it's not a very... it's a bit smelly that it didn't... how that all happened this weekend, isn't it? It's just very strange that Villeneuve didn't end up driving his final Grand Prix for BAR, but nonetheless, Sato's filled in very nicely. Jenson Button becomes the team leader, and there they are, 4th and 6th. And they were really the only team on a really solid 2-stopper, weren't they? So they got it pretty much right for this afternoon's strategy.
Yes, a lot of people went for a 3-stopper there. You can see All the fans in the crowds waving their flags, many of those Honda red flags. You might think they're Ferrari red flags, but a lot of the people here backing Honda, not surprisingly. And the Ferrari mechanics have been through so much together, haven't they? This is going to be their 5th Constructors' Championship in a row. An amazing achievement. Rubens Barrichello's 2nd Grand Prix victory of the season. He's still got one more lap to go, though, so no premature celebrations just yet. Mechanics streaming out there in the customary fashion to get ready. And just 3.5 miles then separating Barrichello from a win, Ferrari from the Constructors, and Michael Schumacher from the Drivers' World title.
I think Michael Schumacher will replay this race many times in his mind. It's a pivotal moment in Formula One history, a very significant moment where Fangio's record is finally beaten. And how many times did he come close to just not being in this Grand Prix any longer? But Barrichello's been up there as his safety net anyway, keeping the tantalisingly close Kimi Raikkonen in 2nd place away from those crucial 10 World Championship points.
Is Barrichello your driver of the day?
There's a lot of, I think there's some good drives out there, and Sato's been good. I think Barrichello's been solid, frankly. I think Montoya put a lot of manners on him on the first lap. I'll go for Jenson Button in 4th place under difficult circumstances. I think he's done a stellar job for the team this weekend, so that would certainly be my man of the day.
There's Kimi Raikkonen. He can do nothing about the scenario that is playing out.
Of finishes to a championship-winning season, but who cares? This has been a tremendous year for Ferrari. Schumacher under more pressure than he's ever been before since joining this particular team. It wasn't the dominant, easy championship that a lot of people anticipated in spite of the new rules, Neil, but he made so many great saves during the year when all seemed lost, and those points in the end counted significantly.
What an amazing motor race. What a tremendous way to finish off the 2003 Formula One Championship. And Ferrari and Michael Schumacher justifiably proud indeed. The engineers from Bridgestone, they've ended up with 9 victories this year, and they would be absolutely thrilled to Michelin 7. And in terms of the pole positions, it ended up being 8 apiece. What a nail-biter. And that, what about that moment between the Schumacher brothers where they've dived into the chicane, Cristiano's in front, Michael's locked up, Ralph's almost nailed him. I mean, can you imagine what would happen within that family if he'd taken his brother out?
Well, of course, he had to make an effort because it was a team thing. And as you mentioned while we were watching the race, Neil, that Ralph was criticised a few races earlier for apparently letting Michael pass a little too easily. He wouldn't want that at all. We'll take a break, come back with more, wrap it up. Rubens Barrichello did what he had to do. He finished the season with a win.
And of course, yesterday with that pole position, a great performance. And here we go, the final podium of the year.
Raikkonen and indeed one Montoya, who failed to finish this race. Montoya blew it in the second last round, and again in this one, Raikkonen so close, but didn't take it. Mark Webber of Australia, incidentally, as we celebrate with Rubens Barrichello, finished in the top half of the championship, Neil. A good year for him in a car that clearly didn't have race pace.
Not today, certainly, after some promise early in the weekend. He's finished up 11th, but 10th in the championship, ultimately yielding to Jenson Button, who has put in a great performance today for 4th, and his teammate, the Japanese driver Sato, have really bumped BAR up in the Manufacturers' Championship. We'll look at that a little bit later on.
Well, this man has a lot of time on his side. That's the most important thing for Kimi Raikkonen to remember, even though Michael Schumacher is coming back for another year, perhaps even 2. Raikkonen has a long way to go. And for David Coulthard, who knows?
Good solid run from him today. Keep in mind that Kimi Raikkonen is only...
Schumacher makes history in a significant year in Formula One with dramatic rule changes that we expect to be revised in 2004. Certainly they've made a great difference to the results and the viewing this year. But also we have the names like Raikkonen emerging, and of course Mark Webber from Australia too. So lots of stories on that subject. Don't forget the national news is coming up soon. But in the meantime, after the break, we'll talk to not only the people on the podium, but the man who has won his 6th World Championship. Ferrari has the last word in 2003 at Suzuka. Schumacher wins the championship. They win the Constructors' Championship. But there is, as I said before the break, a lot of promise in this year of things to come. 3 very competitive teams at the top, Neil Crompton, and also Williams, Renault starting to come through and put pressure on Williams, McLaren and Ferrari, and some individuals as well.
Yeah, certainly a fantastic season with so many competitive teams. But let's have a look now at the drivers in the media conference and hear what they had to say.
Rubens Barrichello. Rubens, coming in here, you had to win this race. You won it from the pole, but it was difficult in those early laps.
It was always very difficult because we had a situation that I think it helps our competition. I mean, it was not damp, but it was some sort of a small water in some sort of a corners. I mean, going to spoon that right-hander, especially on the first laps where Montoya overtook me, my car was very twisty. So it was hard to keep control, and I almost lost it on the first lap. So it was difficult, and I was praying, even though everyone knows that I love the wet, I was praying not to rain because it was our main opponent. So basically, I fought all the way through, hoping that it wasn't going to rain. Plus the fact that my visor was really fogged, and all the pit stops, they had to put rubber to keep it open because it was very difficult. So I had to keep my concentration, and I was pushing right through the end because if we had a situation where it was going to be wet, for 3 laps, I knew they could catch me 3 seconds a lap. So I need to push all the way through.
Rubens, a huge day for Ferrari. Michael's clinched his 6 Drivers' World Championship, and this is the 4th consecutive Constructors' Championship of which you've been a part at Ferrari.
And I'm so proud because even though all these years Michael has been the one that has been helping for the constructors, I've been there as well. So I mean, it's to be the 4th year consecutive on Ferrari and win that championship and to clinch this victory, because I think Suzuka is definitely a driver's circuit. So it's for me to be winning this race makes me a proud man.
Thank you, Rubens. Kimi, almost there. How big an impact did that shunt yesterday have, do you think, on your weekend?
Of course, it didn't help us, but it's passed now, and thanks to David to let me use his car and try to get back on a good shape. But I think so. We were a bit unlucky with qualifying yesterday. The last 5 guys or whatever it was got a little bit rainy and it didn't help us. But I don't know, we got 2nd place again. It's not very nice to finish 2nd almost every time, but we were just not quick enough this year to win the title, and at least we didn't lose for bad driver.
Thank you, Kimi. David, an interesting weekend for you too. As Kimi said, you had to swap cars halfway through the weekend, and then obviously late in the race there sitting behind Kimi, but how was the car for you?
Well, the T-car, I never obviously got a full opportunity in qualifying to know exactly where it was relative to the race car because of the conditions. But in the race, I have to say balance, except on the second set of tyres, was pretty good. Second set, for some reason, had a lot of understeer, and that was quite difficult for the first 8 or 9 laps. Otherwise, I was able to run in clean air and push reasonably hard and try and make a 3-stop strategy as best I could.
As close as the championship battle was, right down to the wire, one very important piece of information stands out. Michael Schumacher finished up winning 6 races this year. No one else won more than 2. A deserved champion once again. Let's hear from him.
It has been a tough year. There's been a tough late stage of the season. And it has been a very tough race, honestly, probably one of my toughest. But I think what is much more to mention is the team, and I only can repeat ever so often, because again today, I mean, they have done an incredible job giving both of us a car where we have been at all time competitive with. Rubens have done a fantastic drive, won the Grand Prix, so we won the constructor title 5 in a row, which I think is first time ever happened in big style. Myself, I was a little bit messy today after having a little incident, and that's why I said it was one of my toughest races, honestly, because to come back then and go through the traffic and fight your way through with all the happenings, with what happened with D'Amata and Ralph hitting me in the back and so on. I mean, it was a very, very strange race, and therefore the feelings yet haven't sunk in. I mean, I can well feel for the team, but I can't feel for myself at the moment. I'm empty and I'm exhausted. I'm just proud of what we all have achieved.
What were you feeling during the race? Were they keeping you informed about where Kimi was lying? And equally, how hard were you going in traffic with Sato, for example, and again with your brother?
In the end, they won the Constructors' title easily, Neil.
Yes, and look at these fantastic scenes with the Ferrari boys getting together with their team manager, Jean Todt, Rubens Barrichello, Michael Schumacher, that's Herbie Blash from the FIA on the left as they make their way out of the Parc Fermé area.